Welcome back, everyone, to Compass for Kindness. I'm John McKenna, and thank you for joining us here today. And I'm joined, of course, with
Adam Krutinger.
And we welcome you to our podcast today. And today, our mission and venture is we're trying to find kindness and we're trying to emphasize kindness all over, not just Western New York, but hopefully the world, because we know that every act of kindness generates new acts of kindness. So that's our goal. And thank you for joining us today and being part of our adventure. And we have a very special guest with us today. Today we have Mrs. Colleen Marchetta. And Mrs. Marchetta, Colleen, is done many, many incredible, wonderful things. But what we're here to talk about today is Hope Totes. And really, she got together. She's a co-founder of this organization. And what she did is, through her own personal experiences, she found how important it was to help and support people who are going through difficult situations when they're having medical issues. So I'm not going to talk about it all that much because I want Colleen to tell about it and talk about her inspiration regarding Hope Totes. And welcome, Colleen, to Compass for Kindness. We appreciate you joining us here today.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited. This is my first podcast ever.
Well, we want you to know that we did one introductory podcast. You're our very first live guest on our show. So thank you. We couldn't get a better, more positive person and a person who embraces kindness more than you. So thank you for being with us here today.
Thank you.
First thing we want to talk about is Hope Totes. Tell us about Hope Totes and tell us about what the organization does, and I think most importantly, what inspired you to create Hope Totes?
So we have to go back to 2014 for that. I'm a mom of two kids, and when my son was 2 years old, he was diagnosed with a rare disease. Had never even heard of it when he was diagnosed, juvenile dermatomyositis. It's something that, say your body gets a cold, normal immune system would attack the cold and then turn off. Well, for Jack, body attacked the cold, but then didn't stop attacking. So when there was no more germs to go after, it started going after his blood vessels and muscles, and he began to lose the ability to walk. Thankfully, we got him diagnosed within a couple months, and sometimes it takes years. But it was a very long treatment process. We're almost 10 years into it now. It was actually 10 years ago this month that his symptoms started. So he's still on medication. He receives monthly infusions at Oshai. And it was a whole new world to me. It was always kind of uncomfortable, to be honest with you, to be around kids dealing with illness. Not that I didn't care. I didn't know what to do. Living in it, I learned a lot. And people just want support and to know that they're loved. And we had many organizations that did that for our family. Stones Buddies at Oshai Children's Hospital, Team Impact, Make-A-Wish. And I just remember during some of the hardest times of our lives, we had these organizations step in and bring us joy and do kind things and made Jack feel special in a good way. And I remember thinking, I need to pay this forward. During the first year or two, it was too much for me. So I accepted all the kindness, but that made such an impact on me that I said, I need to pay this back. And as soon as I am able to, as soon as Jack's doing better, I am going to do this for other people in the way that I can. And I started with, joining boards of organizations that meant a lot. I joined the Make-A-Wish board. I was on the Family Advisory Council at Children's. I joined the Cure JM National Leadership Council. That's with my son's diagnosis. It's a national organization. Then I started to look for areas that I saw that there was still a need. And Hope Totes kind of happened organically from that. I started making medical bags for friends. I had a very close friend who called me one day. Her son was diagnosed with a cancerous brain tumor. And she called me because I was the only person she knew that had a child that went through a serious illness. And I remember I got this huge adrenaline rush. I wanted to do something, right? Most people send flowers or make meals because that's how they can show that they care. But I had a different perspective because I had been through it as a parent. And I remember being up all night. And I was going through the house looking for things. I ran out to Target the next morning to get whatever I could, and I put together a bag for her, took it to the hospital. It wasn't for her son. This bag was for her because I knew as a caregiver to her son, she needed to be able to keep it together during some very scary times, some very unsure times, and she needed to know that people were looking out for her. So in this bag was a medical binder. There was a comfy blanket for her. I put in some of like her favorite snacks and stuff like that because I knew that she was going to be at the hospital for a long time. I also knew that she probably didn't bring basic stuff like toothbrush, hairbrush. I got her some dry shampoo. I got her anything that I thought of during those emergencies where I had to go to the hospital with my son. But I also did the medical binder because I thought about being a parent or being even a patient going through a brand new diagnosis. All of a sudden, you have to become an expert on something that you could very well know nothing about, like was in her case, like was in my case. And so I got her a binder with all the necessary items so she could file papers, so she could write down like a little thing like a journal. You can write down any questions that pop up in your head so the next time you see the doctor, you can talk about it with them. It could be medication side effects. It could be you saw this weird symptom in your child and you want to ask, or, it's kind of putting all these pieces together and figuring out what's going on. I remember I showed up to Buffalo General. I dropped it at the nurse's station and ran because I also knew that sometimes I didn't want to talk to anyone when I was at the hospital. I needed to know I was cared for, but it was so much to take in to have to be social with someone or like put on a brave face. Sometimes you just don't want to do that. So I dropped it and ran. And she called me while I was in the lobby and she said, Colleen, get up here right now. So I came back up. We shared a big hug. I talked to her because that's what she was comfortable with at the time. And I just explained to her what I put in the bag and why. That was in 2018. So that was 4 years after my son was diagnosed. It took me that long to kind of figure out what was needed. And it was 4 years of many hospital visits. And it was 3 years before I got a binder for myself and started doing this because it's like, who's going to go to an office supply store when they're diagnosed with something serious? And I'm getting organized. They're not. They're overwhelmed. You need someone to do that for you. So I did that for Amy so she could better care for Thomas. Few years went ahead and I kept making totes for people. We didn't have a name for this. It was just a gift that I knew was nice to give. There was actually a parent in my class. She was my room parent in 2020, and she shared this story, so she's okay with me sharing this, but she was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, and she called me, and she called me and one other teacher because she wanted to make sure that her babies were cared for while she was going to another city for treatment, and we were just keeping an eye out on them. And I made a tote for her with this other teacher, and we brought it to her house, and she still talks about it now and how much that meant to her. Amy had a friend whose newborn was diagnosed with cancer. Amy made a tote and shipped it to her friend who had moved to Texas. Remember, she called me and she said, Colleen, you're not going to believe what I'm doing right now. I said, what? And I'm literally, while she's calling me, I'm literally putting together this tote and writing the note for this parent. She said, I'm making a tote. I'm making a medical bag like you did for me. I said, get out of here. Do you know what I'm doing right now? And she said, Colleen, more people need this. This is not just for our friends. There are so many people out there that need this. Her exact words were, this sets my heart on fire. We need to do this. So that's all I needed to hear. And I said, let's go. I called a lawyer the next day. We came up with a list of names. We talked about which names we wanted. And we met a couple days later with someone else who we started Hope Totes with, Kate Glazer. She actually runs Hope Rises now, if you've heard of her. And she loved the idea, so we decided to start this together. That was 2 days before COVID shut the world down. So 2 days later, COVID shut everything down, and we just kept working with it. Our first year or two was a little slow because we couldn't have any fundraisers in person, but we kept going. We did probably 100 totes in our first year and a half, and this year we're on track to do 1,000 totes.
That's amazing.
We just keep going.
Do you mind if I ask a quick question about them? Because when you first said a medical binder, I was assuming that there was a lot of information in there. Can you describe a little bit more of exactly what's in there? Is there some information? Obviously, it sounded like you talked about that there's a lot of just room for them to take notes and whatnot.
So what we did was we looked up all the major diagnoses and what was recommended for them. So, for example, my son's diagnosis, they recommend you get yourself a binder and you put a few things in it, and it's to organize. So we have a letter in the binder which actually suggests what you use everything for in the entire tote. We include in every medical binder a 3-hole punch because you get a lot of hospital paperwork and the holes aren't punched, so it's actually hard to file it if you don't have that. We have a pencil bag with a highlighter, mechanical pencil, and pen for marking down anything on paper, maybe highlighting blood lab results, maybe writing down any side effects that you have. We have a business card holder. We had so many specialists working with my son, and I was given so many business cards, and I lost them. So this is a nice place to have it all together, so you don't lose any important information. And then we have just tabs. I don't know if you can see that, divider tab. And we recommend in our letter what they could be used for. Now, we base this off of suggestions from American Cancer Society, many different organizations that suggest a medical binder. But we understand it's different for each diagnosis, so we kind of leave that open to the recipient. But we test results, reports, medications, insurance. Some people have medical proxies and they need that information. So if you think about this is all together in a bag and you have to go to the hospital and it's not expected, it's kind of an emergency, you have this right away. You have everything in your hands in this bag. So that's what our medical binder is.
Perfect. Thank you.
Wow. I bet you that people truly appreciate that. Well, what's some of the feedback that you've received from some of the families who've received the totes? I bet they're very appreciative.
In particular, the one parent that was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, she had shared with me that she was so overwhelmed at first that she was writing things on anything she could grab. When the doctor called, she had napkins with notes written on it. She put it all in a drawer, and it was just a pile of things, which was so similar to what I had done. I had a backpack just stuffed with papers, not organized at all. 3 years worth of that before I finally organized it. Amy, same thing. Now, she only went a couple days, right? But she was getting information right away. So I got her that binder right away. And this is another thing that people love. This is a medical journal. It's actually a teacher that I worked with that designed stationery, and she made this for Hope Totes exclusively. So inside of this Hope Journal, we just have a little dedication page, but then it's name of doctor, date of appointment, questions or notes. And it's a place where someone can keep all of that together. We've had stroke patients that looking at side effects after or trying to mark down any little signs they see for the doctor, they keep it all in there, and we've gotten messages about that. Alzheimer's patients or caregivers for the Alzheimer's patients, many different diagnoses, and this is all stuff that is recommended if you talk to any doctor with a serious diagnosis. Keep a journal where you write down all these notes. Keep a binder where you have everything organized. It really works for anyone that's going through some serious medical illness.
Well, it's so well organized too. And I know you mentioned you had some help from, you said, a teacher. And I know we first met when you were a teacher in the Williamsville Central School District, and I worked there as well. Do you feel that your teaching background has helped you, because you've done such a great job organizing this and putting this together? Did your background as a teacher help you as you put all of these pieces together?
Okay, funny story. I remember my first year of teaching, I wrote out my lesson plans for every single day, and I paper clipped every single work thing to it, and I saved copies of it. I had to be so organized to make sure I hit everything needed when I was teaching. And I remember some people would look at this and they would tease me about it. I'm like, well, it makes it so my brain can like process all of this and make it work. And so same thing with my son's diagnosis. For me to have everything organized made it so I could handle it better and better care for him. So that's why I want to do that for other people. Help them, give them the tools they need to really just focus on the treatment or what they're dealing with or the person that they're caring for who's going through the treatment.
A quick question. I know right now it basically is focused in Western New York, Hope Totes. Is that correct? Or do you have a bigger vision for the organization? Where's the goal?
So we are expanding. We have expanded to Pittsburgh and Rochester. So it's really where we have donations come in to cover. We have shipped to probably 30 of the 50 states in the United States, because anyone can go online and order a Hope Tote. If they choose to sponsor it, we will send it wherever. We've shipped as far as Washington State. We've had donors specifically come in and say they want this donation to go to Children's Hospital of Pittsburgh. So we've taken it there. Golisano Children's. I would love to see this expand as far as it can.
Do you have consistent sponsors, or are you kind of using donor and sponsor interchangeably?
We do have consistent. I'm using it interchangeably. We have people that specifically come in and want to sponsor for a friend, right? Their friend is diagnosed.
Of course, yeah.
And you can think of this as, instead of sending flowers, you can send this.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's a great branding thing for that. It's like, yeah, flowers are great, but let's do something that has an impact.
And that started with Amy too, because when Amy's son was, diagnosed with this brain tumor, her friends called me and said, I want to do something, but I don't know what to do besides send flowers. Do you have any ideas? And so that's when this all started to kind of form, where I started thinking about everything that was really helpful and useful to me. So we have, then we also have donors that come in. For example, Monday, we are delivering 10 sponsored totes to Great Lakes Cancer Care Collaborative. So that was a donor that came in and said, I want to send 10 totes to this organization. We've had them sent to Roswell, Oshai, many different organizations. So we have both. We have individual donors, and then we have, businesses that come in.
You have a vision that you want this to expand, hopefully nationally, maybe even internationally. Who knows? This is a need, to me, that could be everywhere and everywhere.
So
is it technically already a non-for-profit?
Yes. That happened 6 weeks after we came up with the name. We moved very quickly. Had a great lawyer. And she helped us move along everything very quickly. But yeah, we were technically a nonprofit in May of 2020.
Wow. Do you have a CPA as well?
We do.
Wow. Those are, if you can get a good CPA, that helps a lot too.
Yeah, and they're wonderful. They donate. The CPA donates all of his time to do it. He's never charged us. It's amazing. He's amazing. So we're very grateful for that.
And is he local as well?
He is.
Wow.
You see, there's kindness all over the place, Colleen. Isn't it great? People sharing kindness, spreading kindness, helping each other to do good work. And that's really what it's all about.
Can I give a shout out?
Please.
So the lawyer that started Hope Totes for us, Andrea Tarshis, her business is Lawyer for Business. She has since, because we did Hope Totes, started a nonprofit called Boss Because, where she takes anyone going through a chronic illness, and if they apply, she will start a nonprofit for them, do all the work, cover all of the fees, completely free, to help that child or that patient start their own business or start their own nonprofit. And she started quite a few in the area because of that. And it was after a tote packing party. That's what we call them when we put together a bunch of Hope Totes. We have tote packing parties. Because I love
that tote packing parties. Do you know what it reminds me? As an art teacher, I've done lots of fundraisers where I do a painting party, and that's just like a similar type of thing. I could imagine a bunch of people getting together, having a glass of wine, putting together all these totes. Right? Is that what you do? That's what you do.
Shout out. Russell Salvatore at Salvatore hosts our tote packing parties. He provides wine and food to everyone while we pack. So we had like for 30, it's fun. The last one we had, we packed binders, just binders and toiletry bags, because we do separate like the process to make it go smoother. So he provided wine, food to everyone. We set up 2 assembly lines. Everyone packed all the binders. Everyone packed all the toiletries. We did 500 toiletry bags, 500 binders. And then afterwards, we had wine, we had food. Everyone had so much fun. It was a party. So that was my whole idea behind that I wanted it to be fun. I wanted to make the work light and easy. Many hands make light work. And I wanted people to enjoy themselves. So they wanted to come back and do more. And it's all for, to help other people. So you feel good at the end of it too.
Well, if you need some help, Adam and I are available. We're happy to go to Russell's and join you in that party.
They were wonderful. They said any time that we want to do it, they would love to host another one. So we are going to pick another date, and I will keep you involved in that. I have to finish my shout out. So we started with the shout outs with our lawyer, but Jim Dry is our CPA, and he has donated all of his time to file all of our taxes, do everything we need to do to stay compliant with the IRS so we can keep doing what we're doing. So we're very grateful for that too.
I'm so glad you shared that, because one of the questions I was going to ask you is there's other people out there that want to do good work. So what would be your advice to them? How do they get started? There's people like you had an idea and you had a passion and you wanted to get it going. There's a lot of folks out there. What advice could you give them if they want to turn their passion into action?
So for me, the first question I asked myself was, do I know anyone else that is doing this? Because can I support them in their mission? Or is this something that I don't see anyone doing? So I can't. So in our case, for this particular idea, there was no one else. Like I looked this up everywhere. I found no one that provided a high quality medical bag. We use New Era for our backpacks, and we use Vera Bradley for our totes. So it's something that someone's proud of. We've gotten so many messages about that. People are just proud to walk into their appointments with this really nice bag.
I got to tell you, too, I'm so glad to hear that, because that also, I wish we mentioned that in the beginning, too, because I was imagining just like a plastic tote that you get at Walmart or something. Oh, this is real deal comfort.
Wow.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh,
wow. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, and that's part of it. You want these people who are going through this to feel special. We want it to be high quality, because these people are high quality and these people matter, and we want it to be something that they're proud of. We also specifically decided that we didn't want something that stood out to say, I have cancer, or I have this diagnosis. You'll see there's no markings on these bags that show that. And sometimes people really don't want to announce that to everyone. So it's just a bag that they can be proud of. The blankets are Vera Bradley blankets, and they are the most comfortable blankets that I have ever used. I had tons of Vera Bradley blankets, over the years, which is why I knew we had to put these blankets in the bag. And we work with both Vera Bradley stores here in Buffalo, the Outlet and the Gallery Mall, and they're amazing. They donate. They support all of our fundraisers. They go to corporate for us and ask for additional donations. We get special discounts. Like, they're making it so the money we raise goes that much farther, so we can get, so many more totes out to people.
So how do people go about getting one? Do they apply on the website or something?
So we have a website where you can request a tote and put your name on a waiting list. And my brother built our website. So that was another person who helped out with that. He designs websites. So that was a nice benefit to have there. But it's just a form that you fill out online. Talks about Hope Totes, shows pictures. It's hopetotesbuffalo.org is the name of the website. We've between Vera Bradley and New Era donates everything free and clear to us too.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
That is incredible.
And it really is. That's awesome.
So, but let's.
What a great hat.
That is a great hat. Let me just stick on that point for a minute. How do you build that kind of a relationship from scratch with someone? Assuming you didn't already have a friend that worked there, because walking in cold doesn't always seem to work, because the person who can actually answer that question's maybe not there. I feel like every time when I send out an email for something like that, when I hit send, I feel like I'm hitting delete, because how often do you always get a response and stuff? So what was what worked best for you to make these connections?
So I think what we did was we all started with donating money into Hope Totes, the three of us, Kate, Amy, and I. I am not very good at designing things online. So my letterhead that I came up with was not great, but I came up with a letterhead. I wrote a letter. This was after we had our EIN. We went into Vera Bradley. We purchased whatever we could. And I remember counting it to the penny. We got up to the register and I said, we're a nonprofit that just started. Here's a letter. We would love it if you supported us in any way you could. We're so appreciative of this. I told the story, I've been in here before. I've been making these totes. And it's just something that so many people want them. And Vera Bradley is such a high quality brand that we want to be able to do this for as many people as possible. And they said, thank you very much. Amy spoke to them too. And we kind of just looked at each other like, we have no clue what we're doing, but we're just hoping for the best. Well, so we probably bought enough for 8 totes and blankets on that first trip. The girls that worked at Vera Bradley did a secret fundraiser for us where they put together, they all chipped in money to buy stuff for us, binders, blankets. They went to corporate from that one letter that we wrote, which we could have been, we knew that we had no history, right? We just knew we had an EIN number. They went to their district manager, and we were surprised with a donation of 50 totes and blankets.
What an incredible story that is, isn't it? You know what it is? You got to get out and try. Isn't that it? It reminds me of that old thing, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Yeah. And you went out and took a shot, and you know what? There's so many good people out there. They recognize the genuineness and authenticity of what you were doing, and boy, they gave you support. So much kindness to make that happen. Wonderful.
So you said all you had was the EIN, but by that, do you mean you were also technically a non-for-profit at that
point?
point?
We were a non-for-profit, so that we had our EIN number that was recognized by the IRS as a 501c3.
Gotcha,
so we also had that letter that we gave to them, and that was enough for corporate, and they started with that donation, and then we kept coming back and purchasing more, and our last purchase with Vera Bradley was for almost 500 totes and blankets, which we're prepping, for this coming year. So it's very, very cool to think about how much we've grown. And we talk about that with them too. We talk about that with the manager of both stores. And they say, we can't believe this. We remember when you walked in with this paper with these little purple flowers on it. And now you're at this point, which is I still think about it and I'm like, how did this happen?
Positivity, catches on. It definitely is exponential, right? Negativity is, and so is positivity. So it's up to us to be the ones to get positivity going and kindness going, because the overwhelming majority of people out there are really good people. They're in need of kindness, right? They're looking for ways to be good to each other. Sometimes we just need those vehicles like you created to jump on board and make something happen. So what an inspiration you are, not only for us here, but for everybody we hope that listens. We hope that it inspires more people to jump on board and do good for others, because once you have a good idea and you get it started, it will take off.
It's already taken off, yeah.
I mean, that's all we wanted. We wanted to be able to reach people at some of the lowest points in their life and remind them that there are people out there that care for you. You can do this. Sometimes when you're facing a diagnosis, it's like that uphill climb. It seems overwhelming. Where do I start? We are there for the start. We are there here. Take what they give you, put it in here. That's step one, right? Well, we did step one. We put the bag together for them. But take this to your chemo appointments. Take this to your doctor's appointments. Use this when you're just want to feel loved. People have told us that they pull out the blanket from the tote and they literally just feel love when they put it around them, because they know that this was a gift that, again, strangers donated to them. There's something about that. And I remember this through Make-A-Wish. What an impact that had, that my son had a playground given to him that was purchased by complete strangers, that they didn't know us, but they knew we were going through something tough. And to have that kindness from someone you don't know, it really makes a lasting impact on you. And that's what we want to do for other people. And I'm grateful we can.
It makes a lasting impact, and also it's just it makes you feel loved in a way that you didn't know you were loved, and you want to say thank you, but there's kind of no one to say thank you for, which is also something kind of hard to, I shouldn't say hard to deal with, because there's the medical condition is the hard part, but it's just very rewarding and it feels great. I do have another question for you, based off of everything that you're saying, because I think this is all very inspirational, and I think people listening to this will wanna. It'll either inspire them to get involved with what you're doing, and or to take action on their own mission of whatever that is. So a question I have for you is, a lot of people want to do this type of thing, and especially in non-for-profits, there's an illusion to people that there's no way to necessarily make money. So, like, how do you make a living potentially? Are you still working? Like, what is the practicality to running a non-for-profit while still, like, living your life?
So this is Hope Totes is run completely volunteer. So this is all of my free time that I just choose to put into it. I do have a paid job. My husband is my employer now, so he's I work part time for him, and so I am fortunate in the sense that we don't have to put that on Hope Totes right now, because that would be hard. I do hope that in the future, Hope Totes can build to a point where someone can be on salary, for two reasons. I don't think it will grow to where we want it without that. And I would like to get it to a position where it is set up so it can last forever, to have that lasting impact past me, past Amy, past the group that founded it. Because that's what we want. We want this to be something that continues on. I think about, again, I don't mean to bring it up again, but I think about Make-A-Wish and how that started with a group of people wanting to grant a wish for a little boy that wanted to be a police officer, and what it grew into. Hospice, the first 4 years of hospice, it was completely volunteer. And then it grew into, something that reaches so many people now. So you do get to a point where for it to grow, you need that. In the meantime, I want to ensure that this continues. So that is why,
So
every
do you
dime
see a
that
point
comes
where
in-
you're getting a building or something potentially? Is that the hope, you think?
I would love for that. I would love for that. I was a math major in college, so I also am always watching numbers.
You're a bean
And
counter.
so our basement is our storage facility for Hope Totes. We literally, there is no cost to Hope Totes whatsoever except for the totes. And until we grow to a point where like we could afford a building or rent, like, when it gets, there will be a point where it gets to that. It's just in the meantime, I'll save as much as I can and make it work this way.
I just want to say too that I'm going to make a prediction. Hope Totes will keep growing. You will expand. That dream will come true, Colleen. I have absolutely no doubt. Knowing you and know how you work and where it's coming from, a real place of authenticity from your heart. And when people come from a place that's so truthful like that, that's why people see it, know it, and recognize it, and it will grow. And you watch, it's going to be fun watching Hope Totes spread all over this, not only our country but our globe. I know we got to wrap up here soon. I just want to say you have been such an inspiration to so many people. I'm curious, were there inspirations for you along the way? What inspired you to become the person that you are today?
There are so many people that did things in different points of our life. I'll just say I was raised by parents who always had a very strong moral compass to give back and to do things for organizations. So I was brought up with that. They would always give of themselves to anyone they could. So that definitely helped. But I think also going through my son's diagnosis, if I'm being completely honest, I would not be doing what I'm doing today if Jack wasn't diagnosed. One, I had no clue that people went through this. But two, it just like opened up a door, like experiencing some of the feelings that I experienced, some of the major lows that I went through, and the people that were there during those lows to also help me feel the extreme highs at the same time, because I never felt as much love and support as I did at some of the hardest times in our lives. That affects people. And so my goal became after that, I want to be there to step in when people are going through some of the hardest things in their life, because I want to remind them that they can do this. They can do this, and people are supporting them along the way. Sometimes it's just that little bit of emotional support too people need. So it's a tote that we give, but it's also, we're giving them support in other ways. It's a reminder, and it says this in our letter, let this be a reminder that you can do this. You can face what you're about to face. It's the people that did it for me, really, and there's so many people. And so, and I know it's a general answer, but
That's a great answer. And I've had the opportunity to meet your wonderful son Jack, and he is an inspiration. And Adam and I were talking. We want to have a whole show with Jack. Hopefully you'll let us have him on one of these days, because he is also an inspiration of kindness and empathy and caring, for sure.
He's a good boy, and he can talk too. You think I can talk? He can talk.
So we are going to showcase him without a doubt, because he is an inspiration, and other people do need, anyone who gets to hear him can't help but be inspired.
Yeah, this is an incredible story, because I don't know if you know, but I have brain cancer right now. It's something that I'm going through. Just finished up my chemo, and I'm going to get other opinions soon in the end of this month, and traveling all around for that. And and I've been part of some cancer organizations that have helped, and they all are well intentioned, but again, sometimes I was in this one men's group, and and again, I'm not putting it down, but like, we got t-shirts, hats, and water bottles, which is very nice and generous, and grateful for that, but it's like, something like what you're creating is something that's so practical, and I love that it's geared toward the caregiver, because like, my wife supports me, and I can't support her the way that she needs it. And something like this is just such a perfect tool, because when you're thrown into this situation, you don't know what you don't know, and you don't know what you need, and it's just, the whole world is thrown at you, and your phone blows up, your social media blows up. How can I help? How can I help? How can I help? And people are saying that with good intention, but it's overwhelming. And as the person going through it, we don't even know how you can help, right? It is a lot to take in. And this seems like a perfect remedy for people thrown into that kind of a situation.
Wow.
Well, Adam, I have to say this. If we were meeting in person today, I had something for you.
Oh, jeez.
But we have a hope tote for you.
Oh, my goodness. Thank you. Thank you so much.
So I am going to be dropping this off at your house, and it has a lot of useful things in it. So for you to use, so I hope that it helps you too. And John, I have something for you too. I can't wait.
I'll wear it with pride. I can hardly wait to wear that my totes hat. That's awesome.
That's wonderful.
Well, Colleen, we want to just thank you so much for sharing your time with us today and being such an inspiration. I love what you said too, and you said about what inspired you. And I know you talked about your folks, and you said that they had a strong moral compass. One of the reasons that we chose the name for this is the compass for kindness, is because that's what we're looking for. That compass, that moral compass, that thing inside of us that says we almost have a need to do good work, to try to help others and be kind and caring and empathetic. So thank you for showing us that, yes, we can do it, and everyone has the power to do it. And what we try to say is that kindness is a mindset, and it's a choice. And every day we wake up, we can make that choice to do this good work. And
it's not a destination; it's a path.
It's a path.
That's why it's a compass, because you're following it, and maybe you veer off a little bit, but as long as you're well intentioned and using that compass, you'll get somewhere.
That's right. We all get off the road every now and then, but we got to get right. We got to use our compass and get right back on. No one's a perfect person.
Adam, just talking to you, I have to ask you this, because I feel like you're the type of person that went through the same thing that I did. When Jack was diagnosed, there was something inside of me that said, good will come out of this. I will make good come out of this. Did you have that moment?
I did, and I think I'm still there. I mean, like, it's weird to say, but I feel like this has affected everyone else in my life way more than it has affected me. Not to say that it hasn't affected me at all, but I've always just been someone that's like, you just use the cards you're dealt, and I'm going to use them the best I can. And if the cards I have don't work well for this game, maybe I'll try a different game with those same cards. Try to find a game that I can either win or do better at, because it's just, some things are just out of your control. And when you try to control things that are out of your control, that brings up a lot of negative feelings, anxiety, and hopelessness, in my opinion.
Life is 10% what happens to you, 90% how you respond to it.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think you're responding very well. I can just tell that you are a wonderful person, and I love that you are both doing this podcast because it's perfect. It is gonna change people for the better.
He is a force of positivity. I can tell you that right now, and I am so happy that you reached out to me to help put this together, because you are. This guy right here, you can't help but be around him and not just feel the positive energy and then want to pay it forward to other people. So,
well, one thing I say to my wife, because again, she is so powerful, she is so brave, but I think it affects her in a slightly different way, because like when I have a moment where it's tough for me, like I can deal with it, but it is tough to see your partner in a tough position. And what I say, which I don't think is always necessarily helpful in the moment, but I do believe it, is like, is about like worrying, right? And it's like, there will be a time to worry, but we don't need to worry before we have to worry. And I think it's best to keep that positive mindset. Like right now, like again, it's probably growing inside of me, but you know what? I feel good right now. We're doing good things. I'm with friends now. My kids are in the other room, and if something happens, we'll worry about it then. Don't it's like crying over spilled milk before you spilled it. It's like just worrying. I try not to worry.
That's good.
Well, thank you, Adam, for your positivity. You're an inspiration to all of us as well. And thank you. I would say it was his idea to put this podcast together and share positivity, and that's what we're going to do.
Yeah, wonderful.
We're going to keep doing it.
So, if people want to learn more about Totes for Hope and follow more of your work, what's the best way for them to do that?
We are on LinkedIn, Hope Totes Buffalo, Instagram, Twitter, whatever it's called now, X, I don't even know, Facebook. We have our website, hopetotesbuffalo.org. And if there are any golfers out there, I should say, we are having our first golf tournament at Transit Valley Country Club this June. So you can find that information on our Instagram account, on our Facebook account, and on our LinkedIn too.
Well, Colleen, thank you so much for spending time with it. We thought we were going to be like 30 minutes. We could even, it's already 45. We could keep going because this is really, how can I say it? We could talk about this forever. And thank you for spending time with us here today. We truly appreciate it.
Thank you so much. You guys are wonderful.
Talk soon. All the best, Colleen. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.